Good afternoon, everyone. It's Victor speaking from Astro.com, and today I wanted to teach you a predictive technique which is called solar arc. And I wouldn't say it got forgotten somewhere in the middle, but for some reasons, many of the astrologers don't use it. However, I believe this is one of the most accurate predictive technique. So today I wanted to teach you how to use it because you can't really find so much information out there online. So I thought you guys might be curious how to use it. And to be honest, I believe it's an easy predictive technique as well. And you can really amaze your clients and you can amaze your friends as well easily once you understand the principles. By the way, if you want to study similar predictive techniques with me, then I'm hosting an apprenticeship class. So how does it work? Basically, there are 6 people in the group, and each of the modules are going to last for 6 weeks. You can choose the beginner level. If you feel that you are comfortable with the beginner level, then you can choose only the intermediate level. And then if you believe that you are quite good on an intermediate level as well, then there is an option for advanced students as well. Once there are 6 people in each of the group, then I contact you, and then we can start basically. How it works is basically you can go on aslada.com, and under the course and webinars you will be able to find this, but I'm gonna put the link below as well, and you can see what I am going to teach in each of the modules. So basically, if you want to become a professional astrologer, you can do that basically within about 8-9 months. I'm only going to use your chart and your loved ones. Sometimes I'm going to show examples of my own, because obviously I know my chart the best. But definitely it is all about you as well, and then we use your chart so that you can deepen your knowledge, you can understand yourself better. But let's get started with this predictive technique, because I think it's amazing. So solar arc is actually an ancient technique, and how it works is it is a symbolic timing technique. Basically, each of the planets is gonna move 1 degree per year. Okay, so let's suppose you were born with a 16-degree sun in Aquarius. When you are 10 years old, then that sun is gonna be on 26 degree of Aquarius. Okay, if you are 30 years old, then the sun is gonna be on 16 plus 14. That's gonna be 30. So obviously, because one sign has got 30 degrees, and then additional 16 degree, so that would make up 30. Okay, so your sun in that case is gonna be on 16 degree of Pisces. And you do that with each of the planets. I recommend using a program. So if you go on astro.com, extended chart selection, and then you scroll down, you will find solar arc directions plus natal charts. So it's like a by wheel, and then you can you can see actually where the planets are. So basically, a whole chart moves forward approximately 1 degree a year. It is going to vary a little bit because from May to August, for instance, the sun is going to be a little bit slower. So it's going to move about 0.57 to 0.59 degree a year. And from November to February, it's going to be a little bit more, and it can go up to 1.01 as well. So what we look for is once you figured out which year you want to have a look, then you go on astro.com, you enter your birth details, then you enter the date, you want to have a look where where your solar arc planets are. And then what you are looking for is either the conjunction. Conjunction is going to be extremely powerful, or you're going to have a look at a square and an opposition. Mainly these three aspects. And obviously you can ask me the question now, Victor, why are we only looking at these three aspects? The reason being is because these aspects are the ones which bring life events. Okay, when we talk about the soft aspects, such as sextile and trine, actually we expect things to happen, and most probably things are going to happen as well, but those tend to make us a little bit lazy. When it comes to action, all the hard aspects are going to be more to do with action orientation. By the way, it is an extremely great tool also to use it for rectification. But in case of rectification, you need an extremely great, accurate timing of birth. Okay, and how you do the rectification is you're gonna from the rising sign degree, and then when it reaches a planet, then you can tell the client this is something which happened around their age. Okay, I'll give you an example. You might have a 9-degree Pisces rising, and then you've got Mars on 28 degree. Okay, 28 minus 9, that's going to be 18. So around the 8 of 18, something happened in regards to Mars and the rising sign. We know the rising sign is all about how we approach the world. You know, it is like an onion. So you peel off the layers, and then when you get to the juicy part, that's going to be your rising sign. So basically how you present yourself to the world. Your personality traits, body, vitality, and so forth. So I believe rising sign is one of the most complex one. So I'm not going to go into details. When you do solar arc, what I recommend is use a very tight orb. So use an 0.5 degree either side, okay? Because we're talking about a whole year here. So to give you another example, imagine that you've got your moon on 4 degree 30 minutes. And you've got your midheaven on 21 degree 40 minutes. So what happens here is 2140 minus 430. So the difference is going to be 17.10. Okay, so 17 is going to be the age. So at the age of 17, and the 10 minutes is going to be the number of month. So what you should remember is that 5 minutes in solar arc equals approximately 1 month. Okay, so 10 minutes is going to equal with 2 months. 30 minutes is going to cover about 6 months, and so forth. So let's say the person was born in February. Okay, so at the age of 17, around April time, something happened in regards to moon and midheaven. Maybe the person lost their mom, or maybe the mom gave birth to your sister and brother. Whatever it is, really. Or maybe your mom started a new job. Okay, so how do I know it happened in April? Because if you were born in February, and then it happened at the age of 17 plus 2 months, you just add up the 2 months to the February. So it's gonna be April. And then if you really want to if you want to be very precise, then obviously you can even check out when exactly that happened. To be honest, I believe that's one of the reasons why I love using solar arc, because it can be extremely accurate. You know what, when I do a reading, I'm not going to tell the client this is going to happen in April. I'm always going to give a couple of extra months here and there, because you might you can't be exactly sure whether you know, the midheaven degree and the rising sign degree is accurate. So that needs to be rectified. Okay? Great. I hope you guys understand this so far. I wish I was able to share my screen and then show you a couple of examples, but I'm really doing my best to be to explain this for you, and then you are able to understand. So, what to consider when we check solar arc? So, one of the things you definitely have to consider is when the sun changes sign. Okay, obviously, we're talking about a completely new energy. Let's say you were born with an Aries sun on 20 degree. At the age of 10, actually, you're going to have a Pisces sun. And then at the age of 40, you're going to have a what did I say? Aries sun, sorry. So if you were born at with an Aries sun on 20 degree, then at the age of 10 you're going to become a Taurus, and then at the age of 40 you're going to become a Gemini, and so forth. So the 0 degree of the sign is always going to be very important. So let me tell you how the 0 degree works. 0 degree is like a pure energy of the sign. So it's like a new beginning. It's like experiencing how the next 30 years is going to play out and what's going to be the main topic. That's what the 0 degree is going to give you. Another consideration to take is when the sun leaves the sign. So we're talking about the 29 degree. And the 29 degree is always going to bring some crisis situation. Okay, so it is like a summary degree, and you're gonna have to, you know, consider what you have done well in the last 29 years, and then what you have not gained. Okay, so it's like an end of a familiar path. It's like a crisis situation what you have to solve. So I'll give you I'll give you an example. If I recall well, Whitney Houston's midheaven reached Neptune when she died, but I'm not 100% sure. I might be mixing up with someone else, but anyway, it's a good example. So the midheaven reached I think, no, sorry, Neptune reached 29 degree, okay, in Sagittarius in the 10th house. So that could be indicating that, for instance, the career of the person is going to finish. She needs to summarize, or the person needs to summarize what was going well within that era, what needs to be left behind, and most probably the person is going to start a new career. Okay, and as I said, the 0 degree up to 1 degree is going to be a taste of what the sign is going to bring you, the pure energy of the sign. I hope this makes sense so far. Okay, if you want, I can give you another example here. So let's suppose you were born with 16 degree of Aquarius. Okay, at the age of 14, your sun is going to change sign, and then it's going to be Pisces. Okay, let's see, there is a Venus on 9 degree. Okay, so at the age of 23, some Venusian energy is going to manifest the most that year. But also you have to have a look what Venus rules in your chart. Okay, Venus might rule your 3rd house and might rule your, you know, or it might rule your 8th house or 9th house, whatever it is. If Venus rules the 3rd house, then in that case it rules the 8th house as well, because we're talking about Taurus and Libra house cusp. Okay, so whatever house it rules, it might bring you some happenings around. Venus is a benefic planet. Okay, Venus works extremely well in the night chart. Venus is the bestest friend of you in a night chart. Jupiter is going to be the best friend in a day chart. Okay? And when it comes to malefics, Mars is going to be, let's call him as a frenemy, okay, in a day chart, and Saturn is going to be your worst enemy in a night chart. Okay? So when Sun and Venus meet on that 9 degree at the age of 23, you should expect some type of Venusian energy coming your way in regards to the house she rules. Okay, or maybe it is in regards to love. Maybe it rules your 9th house, and then you're gonna go on holiday, you're gonna travel somewhere, and then you're gonna meet your life partner. Okay? As I said, use a half a degree orb, because half a degree already speaks about 6 months anyway. Okay, so you can really go off the track with your prediction if you allow a bigger orb. Great. So, as I said, it's a symbolic timing technique. Okay. If I really want to compare it with transits, it's important to mention because you might wonder how it works out. So obviously a transit is talking about a planetary cycle. Okay, those planets have got direct motions, stationary motions, retrograde, and so forth. Okay, in solar arc, you don't have those at all. Those planets are going to move forward approximately 1 degree a year, no matter what. Okay, so that's one of the difference, for instance, between solar arc and progression, because in progression, retrograde motions, stationary motions are still going to happen. Great. Another thing to consider in regards to solar arc is going to be when a planet has an aspect with one of the angles, especially the rising sign and the midheaven. So as I said, number one aspect you're going to consider is conjunction, then square and opposition. Okay, I would say in that order. Okay, so let's have a look at another example, because we only talked about the sun mainly. But actually what you can do, you can pick 2 planets in your chart, and then you can see how they're going to play out in your life. So I'll give you an example. You might have 2 degree, you've got Mercury on the 2nd degree of Taurus, okay? And then you might have Pluto on 26 degree of Leo, okay? So you can already see that this is an applying square sign based, okay? So I know I said Mercury is on 2nd degree, Pluto is on 26 degree. What you do is 26 minus 2, so at the age of 24, that square is gonna become 100% active. So at the age of 24, you definitely can expect something to do with Mercury and something to do with Pluto. Maybe it's gonna be something in regards to Mercury ruled house, or maybe it's gonna be something to do with the way you speak, the way you think. Maybe you're gonna create a completely new belief system for you, and so forth. Obviously, the list is endless because Mercury means plenty of things. Okay, it really depends on your chart. So when you direct your chart from the midheaven, definitely it is always going to talk about vocational changes or something to do with your social status. Okay, for instance, Pluto is going to hit your midheaven by solar arc. That definitely indicates a huge social status change within yourself. When we talk about the sun, that's going to be the core self, so some changes in regards to your core self. When you direct from moon, then it's going to be a shift in your emotional needs. When we talk about Mercury, Mercury is going to be something in regards to an idea, or maybe a development of studying, or maybe actually you get to the end of your bachelor degree and then you become successful and so forth. It really depends on the aspect as well. Let me give you another hint how it is. Maybe you can figure out the outcome. So let's say you've got Mercury in Capricorn, okay? Usually the ruler of the sign is gonna be the outcome. So Mercury in Capricorn, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, okay? So the outcome of that Mercury, whatever it does, might be a little bit blocked because Saturn is one of the malefic planets, okay? Especially if we talk about a night chart. But let's say you've got a Jupiter-ruled Venus in your chart. So in that case, the outcome might be Jupiterian, especially if it has soft aspect, okay? We're talking about which gets activated, okay? And obviously Jupiter is a benefic planet as well. Okay, when we talk about solar arc Mars, well, it could be talking about additional responsibility, anything to do with achievement, basically. Okay, because Mars is the planet of motivation, the planet of, pushing yourself to achieve things what you really want to achieve. When it comes to Venus, that's something to do with love, development of love, relationship, even money, harmony, and so on. Jupiter is going to be talking about education, travel, foreign countries. Obviously, these planets have got plenty of meanings. So, and don't forget that you have to check what they rule in your chart as well. Solar arc Saturn, it's like changing gears, right? So you might put more emphasis towards success. Or in a negative interpretation, unfortunately, Saturn is the planet of blockages. So you might have to face some of the blockages, the major blockages in your life. The solar arc nodes are definitely indicating some important life-changing events. It could be indicating karmic relationships as well. So with all these in mind, age of 30, 45, 60 and 90 actually can become a milestone in your life. And the reason being is because if you, for instance, take your any of your planets, let's take Jupiter on 5 degree, okay? And 30 years later, it's going to be on 5 degree again. Obviously on a different sign. So if some of you use semi-sextile, for instance, then each of those planets is going to be in semi-sextile with each other. And how interesting that it somehow relates to progressed moon return. How interesting it somehow relates to Saturn return as well. Okay, it's not going to happen exactly at the age of 30, okay, because fair enough, in the first 10 years of your life, it might be at the age of 10. But as I said, depending on what period of the year we talk about, the planets are moving slightly bit either quicker or slower in solar arc. So therefore, you need to use a program to calculate that. But for simplicity matters, I'm giving you the 1 degree average so that's easier to count. Okay? Great. So as I said, conjunction is going to be the number one you check, and that is definitely bringing you some changes in your life, usually a life event. And that life event is going to be one life event of your life, because that conjunction is only going to happen once. The next one you're going to check is square and opposition. Okay, if some of you are advanced students, then you can also use the main midpoints as well. Okay, I've got like 10 midpoints I use, really, for instance, the sun and the moon, for instance, for relationships, are extremely good. And when solar arc planet hits those midpoints, then it can be a very great storyteller. Okay, so midpoints are the distance between two planets and finding the midway. Okay, there is a little bit of debate about which direction it should be. So some astrologers say if it's a night chart, then you count from the moon towards the sun, and then if it's a day chart, you count from the sun towards the moon. Some say it's only from the sun towards the moon. Some say, you know what, use two midpoints. To be honest, I leave it with you, and then you decide how you want to do that, or what your belief system are, because at the end of the day, astrology is a science, okay, used and mixed with your intuition, and you always have to put a little bit to it yourself, to your understanding, because that's when the system is gonna work the best, and that's my opinion. Okay, I hope you guys understand this, because I'm gonna move on and I'm gonna show you something else as well, or I'm gonna try to explain. Okay, but in ancient astrology, actually, this is not the way how they use solar arc. There is something they call solar arc opening. So, what solar arc opening means? So, when you are doing a kind of astrology that deals with arc openings, you use solar arcs in a different way, okay? Instead of considering where the solar arc directed planets are and how they are aspecting the natal chart, you consider the length of the solar arc itself. Whenever the length of the solar arc becomes equal to the length of the arc between the two natal points, then it sets off. And then interaction happens between those 2 points. So let me give you an example, because it might not be easy to understand. You've got Moon on 5 degree of Sagittarius, and you've got Jupiter on 25 degree of Sagittarius, okay? Just to make it simple. And the minutes are 0 as well, okay? The difference is gonna be 20 degree. So that moon is gonna activate the the natal Jupiter at the age of 20, right? However, 20 years later, moon is again gonna activate Jupiter, the natal Jupiter, because the length between the natal Jupiter and the solar arc moon is again gonna be 20, the difference. I hope this makes sense. So let me read again what I put down on my slide. So instead of considering where the solar arc directed planets are and how they are respecting the natal chart, you consider the length of the solar arc itself. Whenever the length of the solar arc becomes equal to the length of the arc between 2 natal points, then you can expect something to happen. Okay, so that's the way how the solar arc opening works out. Great. So this would be how to use solar arc, really. So all you guys need to do is just go and practice a little bit, play around with your chart. As I said, solar arc is extremely good to check whether your timing of birth is accurate. And the easiest way to do that is use your midheaven or use your rising sign, and then start checking some of those aspects I was talking about. You know what? One life event is not gonna tell you that the rising sign is not accurate, okay? What you should do, get at least 7, 8, play around with it, have a look whether it plays out the same way I just described to you, and then you can be sure that your timing of birth is accurate. So let me give you an example. You've got 27 degree of Neptune, okay, and then you've got 9 degree of Venus. So the difference is obviously it's gonna be 18. So at the age of 18, something Neptunian and something to do with your rising sign happened. Okay, let's say, and then these two are gonna form a square. Obviously, you calculated the minutes, so you can go to the exact month as well. And then if the month is not great, then obviously you know that you might wanna play around with it a little bit. Also, for advanced students, you can even take the moon into account, because we know that the moon is moving quite fast, right? So a moon transit, for instance, only lasts for a couple of hours, maximum 8 hours, I would say, and then obviously it gets out of orb. Thank you very much, guys. I hope you enjoyed this mini lecture. If you wish to learn lectures like this, then let me know, first of all, and then I'm more than happy to share. But also, I've got a 10-week predictive class, which we finished, I think, in June. I was teaching there for 10 weeks my best techniques I use when I do readings, including solar arc as well, with plenty of examples. And I only use the charts of the live participants so that we can test it there and then they can see how exact the timing techniques can be. Yes, and then obviously, as I said, if you want to become a professional astrologer, then I have done, I'm doing that apprenticeship course. So feel free to let me know, send me an email. It's astrovicktor@gmail.com, and the Victor is written with CK, and then I can answer any of your questions. And by the way, I'm running an astrocartography class as well on the 30th of August. I believe it's gonna be a good 5-6 hour webinar. So if you are interested, just check out the website astro.com under astrolada.com, under courses and webinars. And I'm gonna see you guys again when I see you. Have a lovely day. Bye bye.